All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Quant Data Sunday edition Q&A. We run these Q&As every Wednesdays and Sundays, 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST for you guys in the community to ask questions and to recap some of the days. I think that today, what I want to go over is I want to go over Friday. So I want to go over Friday specifically because caught a lot of us off guard, right? That massive flush near the end of the day. I'm talking from right after New York City lunch. We literally just took a massive downturn, breaching low of day, which I didn't think was going to happen. Now we didn't break through 6,700, which is our line in the sand, right? That's where the bulls want to continue defending. It's a very strong psychological level, but nonetheless, it got pretty scary. So if you were caught off guard by this, right? Maybe throughout the day you were pretty aggressive, continuing to sell puts or hold longs all the way to the end. I want to go over this specifically because caught some people in chat on that Friday trying to hold for the moon and the stars. We already hit 6750, which was our opening MVC, which we know based on the metrics that we know that we've studied is hit. The opening MVC is hit 72% of the time, and once we hit that, some of you guys still decide to hold your longs all the way through, trying to chase for a continued moonshot there. So we're going to recap Friday. We're going to take a look at what were some of the clues that we would have seen that we should have kept our eyes on to let us know that there is a potential turnaround for the day. We're going to talk a little bit about how to manage your positions after we've hit the target, right? And setting trailing stops and things like that to kind of, make sure you don't give all your money back, right? The worst thing a trader can do when we participate in this career, in this craft, is to start the day off relatively green and then give everything back. Now, that's I've experienced that. I'm sure many of you guys have experienced that too. On a Friday, that would be terrible, right? We do not want to give our money back. So, first thing, right? In the open. So we're going to look down here real quick. In the opening session, we knew that relatively the market was going to be strong. We knew that 6,700 with 5.79 billion of net exposure on 6,700 delta side. What is the likelihood of us losing this strike? Now we opened SPX on 6720s, just above it. We were definitely able to sell put credit spreads below that 6,700, right? So when we eyeball this, we know that, okay, what's the most likely scenario for price? We're always asking ourselves that question, right? The most likely scenario for price is we go up, but to be safe, right? Where is a level where we are absolutely confident that we do not break? What would that level be? Well, here in the chat, you guys already know that level, right? If you trade with us every day, you watch this data every day with us, 6,700. So that's why I said selling anything at 6,700 or below is a very high likelihood of expiring or decaying, right? Giving us that theta burn for our short sides, our short options. So that's what we did. And as time progressed, I want you guys to kind of pay attention to the shifts in the data here. Now, net drift from the open wasn't that clear. I'm going to open this up a little bit. Now, we know the target was 6750, and we know that generally, on a cumulative outlook, we knew that deltas and gammas were pretty bullish. So we know there's a high likelihood of price going up. Now, we did go up, right? We moved up to 6739, and then we came right back down, but we did not break that 6700. At this point in time right here at 7, you can kind of see the shifts in delta. I'm going to show you right here. So 7 a.m., this is what the deltas look like, right? We started to lose a little bit, right? We saw that 6,700 was what, 5.7 something, right? Almost in the sixes, 5.7-ish in delta. 5.5. I think I saw 5.7 earlier. I can't get it to 632 exactly. But as soon as we hit here, we lost a little bit, 0.2. But that still told us that's a lot of deltas that the market would have to sell in order for this to become negative, in order for this to lose all its value. And zooming into gamma side, after that little bit of a dump, we didn't break into, gamma zero at any point in time. Gamma zero is the point in which bullish and bearish gamma meet, right? Where it begins. We can see that 67.05, 67.10, that's where it was. Relatively still strong. MVC was still upside, 67.50. So right from the open, we marked that level, 67.50, right? And as time progressed, as we came into a London power hour, right? So 7:30 a.m. London power hour, we could see that there's a little bit more room to go. So this is 7:30. This is London power hour. Price was already at 67.38. There's another 12-ish points to go in order to hit that MVC, right? And as we kind of progressed, as time went on, we ended up hitting that 67.50, right? Now, how do we I didn't catch it myself, but I know that some of you guys were eyeballing this. You guys were like, okay, something's missing here. Something's strange, right? I know that we are seeing 2 million in divergence in terms of premium, but as soon as we get to the highs here, around 67.47, obviously we did hit that 67.50, but look what happens down here. So I want you to pay attention to this. This is the net volume. Right now, premiums are still bullish, right? There's still more call premium than there is put premium, but the volume is getting suspicious here, right? What do we see down here? Right here, we see that net volume, like there's actually way more puts being picked up versus calls, but the premium's still a little bit different. So this was our first clue that, okay, maybe that's it. Like maybe we don't go any further. The second clue that would have helped us identify that there could be a potential turnaround is gamma, right? What's our favorite thing to do with gamma? Who knows the probabilities of a pivot there? So when did we actually hit 67.50? So I'm going to mark it like right here, just about 907. Okay, so let's bring this up to 907. I know the gamma was also telling us that there could be potential for more, but what do we often do with our levels? The opening MVC, right? So I'm going to type it in for you guys. Opening MVC. This level still remains regardless of how gamma is expanding and showing us that there may be further. The opening MVC is a level that we always have to keep on our charts because we've seen that level shift away, but it still holds as a pivot scenario. So that would have been a very good point in time to at least set your stop losses, right? At least set a trailing stop for when we hit the first opening MVC. And as soon as we saw this massive spike, this massive spike really happened literally the minute after New York City lunch, right? After New York City lunch, massive put spike right here. So there's a big divergence. And this was something that was caught out to me from another person in quant data. But notice how even though right here, so I want you to identify right here. So I'm going to actually take a snipping tool. It makes it a little bit easier for us. Like right here, okay? Right here. What do we notice right here? Between the red line and the green line. The green line obviously is calls being direct. These are directional bets, so calls being bought and sold. Red puts being bought and sold. What we notice is that even though price kind of made a little bit of a pivot here, right? We did try a pivot, a 10-point pivot. Puts still continued being picked up, right? At no point was there a significant dip, even right here. So I want you to pay attention, like right here. See that line right there. Red line continues to go up. That means people are still trying, right? The market participants are still trying to buy puts into this move back up, this little bit of a pivot. And that led us to another continuation of this right here. Another flush right there. Right? So what is our job for as a trader in the market, right? We are trying to, one, identify the most likely scenarios for price, and then two, determining whether what we see is worth our risk, right? And the number three, of course, is choosing your trade structure for that said risk that you want to put on, right? So, but this would have been a clue, right? Now, if you, after you saw this flush, right, hopefully you were able to get rid of it at the top here during that MVC touch, the opening MVC touch. Actually, not right here. It should have been just right here, actually. Right, when we hit the opening MVC, a really good practice is just to set a trailing stop loss if you wanted to continue to pursue the expansion that we saw, right, just before. Now I can show you as we move on with gamma side, right? As we move on to gamma, we know the pivot happened exactly at 10 a.m. Right? We saw 67.50, right? Here is the continuation. If we continue going, you can see that, okay, well, what's happening here? 67.60 kind of gave up. Now we're seeing 67.55, right? And as we're trading here in between, we're at the 67.46 level. We get a little bit right there. And 5 minutes before, so 5 minutes before that big flush, we actually started to already see the shifts, right? So here's your 10. Damn, right there. Gamma 0 started to move up. Look at what's happening behind us. So I'm going to bring you back to 9 again, right? This is 9. 9, oh, well, let me just go back right to 9. I think this is a little cleaner. But what do we see right here? These are positives, right? Where's gamma 0? Gamma 0 is right here. 67.20, 67.25. As we progress through New York City lunch, what are the clues that the market is giving us? Continue, continue, continue. What do we see? 67.40. Is someone trying to short that gamma there? 67.35 now, right? Gamma 0 is actually moving up. We're getting a little bit of interest here. People are trying to short it already, right? Despite this MVC right here. We're already at MVC. We're actually surpassed it by 65 cents. Right, now let's continue forward, right? By what point in time would you have made the decision that we should probably give up on that moonshot, that gamma expansion? It probably would have been like around here, right? Where now all of a sudden you're getting 67.25 short now as well. You guys see that shift there? Right? That shift is telling us that something else is at play here. Something's happening. There's a little bit of this pothole 67.30, but watch it flip too. 9.50, there we go, continuing forward. And then, do we get that kablam? There we go. There's your flush. There's your flush. We start going into that gamma 0. We've given up the bullish gamma now. And now we have 67.10, right, as our downside MVC. Although 67.55 has that interest, 200 million exposure, right? The market is dynamic. These Greeks, they are dynamic. Now, when do we actually hit, right, the lowest low? Where is the lowest point on the day? 67. Ooh, that's actually pretty low. 67.05. Okay, 67.05.80. So let's just call it 67.06. MVC downside 67.10. Right? As we progress throughout the day, we get there around what, 11ish? Right? This was a beautiful trade right there too. If you were able to capture it, 10.50. Let's just go back to 10.50. Bam! Look at that. Look at that right there. Surpass target just a little bit, and then we start to. What happens when we hit the new MVC? The downside MVC. What happens to the market? Is this a solid 20, 30 point reversal right there? So this is why it's so important. This is why it's so beautiful to just follow the data, right? This is telling you all you need to know in terms of targets, in terms of most likely direction for price, right? And yeah, that's what I want to show you guys. The two MVCs touching the drift here. Let me actually refresh the page because it kind of messed it up from me trying to zoom it all around. It kind of So there you go. It's like looking for clues, right? So these were some of the clues that we had. We hit MVC, we hit the opening MVC, 67.50, and we had this peculiar volume on the put side, right? There's way more puts being picked up versus calls, although premium for calls were still higher. What does that kind of tell you? Some people are asking, like, how is that possible? How are people picking up puts, but call side premium is still higher? Well, it's part of the pricing effect, right? Just because, oh, that's my shirt falling down. Just because premiums for calls are juiced, that doesn't mean anything, right? It's just telling you that people are picking up puts here at a discount. Does that make sense? So they're picking up these puts here at a discount. And why would it be a discount? Well, take a look. During this 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. flush down, or like this 50-minute move, how much theta has already decayed these puts? Probably a lot, right? We're already into almost the last session of the day. Puts being picked up, absolutely they'll be cheap. Absolutely, they'll be very much cheap, a lot cheaper than calls, because the market was going up. Calls are always going to be more juiced. People picking up these puts, though, they made a lot of money. We know that there were some contracts just shy of out of the monies. For example, if you picked up 67.30 put at that time, they went from $2.60 to 9.5. $2.60 to 9.5 at the bottom there. So that would have been a ripper day, and that is why, the puts were just a lot cheaper. So hopefully you guys understood that a little bit. If you guys are on YouTube right now, come on by, watch us trade this every day live for free, because that's what we want to do for the community, right? We want everyone to learn how to earn, right? We're always yearning to learn so that we can earn. And I swear I made that line up. I didn't steal it from nowhere, I promise. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you guys like what I put out, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Give me some suggestions. What do you guys want to see? I'm always happy to make new videos. Of course, we have a lot of content coming out in the pipeline. I'm working on an entire 2 series actually, so they'll be ready by the end of October. I think that'll be really cool for you guys to see that. And that's it. I'm gonna close this up and then go back to the Q&A with the team. So everyone on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys later.